from the Deutsche Messe AG, and as guests here in our studio, we have Sonia Wedell-Castellano, Global Director of DOMOTEX Events Worldwide. So, welcome. Sonia, let's get started with you. DOMOTEX is part of a restart campaign of the trade show industry. So keyword restart, it's 12 weeks until DOMOTEX will take place. So how can we imagine DOMOTEX to take place?
Thank you very much, Gilzin, and welcome to all the journalists. It's only 12 weeks until the actual event, although we've been in a pandemic for 2 years. 1 year ago, we didn't know in which shape or form DOMOTEX 2022 would be able to take place. So we had a very conservative planning, and today, 12 weeks before the event, I can tell you that next year we will be offered to provide a platform, a very compact platform. Since the 1st of September, only on behalf of the public authorities in Lower Saxony, we've received the go-ahead to do our restart. So the entire trade show environment in Germany and in Europe is in this reboot phase. And this was the first official go-ahead to have live events in Stuttgart. We had the Parts to Clean event, which only worked with 50% attendees and exhibitors, but was still very successful. And in this way, DOMOTEX next year will be staged in a very compact fashion, and I would like to ask all of you, please do not compare it to the old other DOMOTEX trade shows. We are still in the pandemic. This is a restart, and we're very glad that despite the pandemic, we are able to go ahead and to provide the right platform for the branch of industry. Sonia, you're talking about a compact DOMOTEX. What exactly do you mean? Answer, well, compact means we're in the middle of the pandemic, so there are still quite a lot of uncertainties out there and insecurity, which also affects our exhibitors. In the past weeks and months, we have been in very close contact with our exhibitors more than ever before. We have lots of questions reaching us, and the exhibitors, of course, also have lots of challenges and insecurities to face. Some of them have decided, although it was difficult for them, to only take part in 2023, at the DOMOTEX in 2023 and not at DOMOTEX 2022. But we still have a very good substance, a very good core of exhibitors that are actively wanting to carry out this restart with us. And for all those of them who are as brave and plucky to do this, we would like to do this restart together, and therefore we'll offer in halls 11, 12 and 13 DOMOTEX next year in a compact fashion. Sonia, does that have to do with the pandemic, the fact that you have only 3 halls? Answer, yes, of course this has to do with the pandemic. As I said before, there are still lots of uncertainties on the market, and to think that in January 2022 that DOMOTEX would have the same volume, the same dimension as we knew it before the pandemic, just would not be right. So we have to be as honest as to say we are offering this platform, but it's going to be a compact edition because due to worldwide traveling restrictions and due to challenges, there is a lot of additional cumbersome work involved in all the organizations, so that there will be some visitors too who are still undecided, which is why we do want to offer DOMOTEX, but it's going to be in a compact edition and not in the same dimension and size as before Corona. Sonia, we all know that DOMOTEX, as the leading trade fair, lives off its international appeal, and this situation, of course, is very difficult at the moment. How many visitors are you expecting? This is what the audience would really like to know. Answer, well, international appeal, at this particular point in time, I can tell you that, as many of you know, DOMOTEX in the portfolio of Deutsche Messe is the most international of events that we actually have. And it is specifically this international appeal that brings us into this really difficult situation, the most difficult situation we've ever had. The more international an event is, the more difficult the situation is when it comes to implementing this type of trade show. You were asking after the number of visitors. I can answer that with a clear, I don't know yet. Quite honestly, there is no event which will issue a forecast at the moment as to how many visitors will come. In this restart phase, in the pandemic that we are currently involved in, we cannot say how many visitors will be there. We're very glad that we're able to offer something anyway. And it's not the time to ask for precise numbers, figures, and it's not the time to look for record attendee figures. We have to focus on the fact that we are able to provide a platform for the branch of industry at all, that together with the branch of industry we can talk about possibilities, options for people to meet again on site, face to face. We have the impression, and I have heard this from many people around the world, people really feel like meeting each other again in person. They are so tired of talking to screens. Business is done between people and not between screens. So it's really the time to talk specifically about how we can connect the branch of industry again. Thank you very much, Sonia. There is too little personal contact, you say. That's a buzzword. We know that there are traveling restrictions, but there are also some alleviations for business people. Can you tell us something about this? Yes, correct. I had to deal with this specifically because we get questions each and every day as to how this actually works, and there is actually a lot of uncertainty and lack of knowledge, and the whole topic is very complex. We know this from our experience in the summer when it came to going somewhere on holiday. It was very difficult. Many people stayed at home in Germany because the traveling restrictions and the impositions can be very difficult. In fact, visitors to the trade show and exhibitors to the trade show are travelers with an important reason for traveling. And at that particular point in time where you're a traveler with an important reason for traveling, you can go to the trade show, and it doesn't even play a role whether you're tested, vaccinated or recovered. Of course, you have to implement or comply with one of these factors. Even if the vaccine is not recognized in the EU, that does not matter, because then you will not be deemed to be vaccinated. But if you do a PCR test, you can come into Germany, even from high-risk areas. So for the trade show visitors, there is no quarantine imposition. There is no regulation for quarantine. So everybody who wants to come to Germany to see DOMOTEX does not have to go into quarantine. So there are different rules in place for these. Thank you very much. We have the first question here from the audience. Hello, how many exhibitors have confirmed their presence yet? Answer, we have 500 exhibitors who have confirmed their presence. I must say that we are still talking to these exhibitors. We're in close contact to them. Only last Friday we actually informed about this compact version of the DOMOTEX. So at the moment we haven't received all confirmations. Some exhibitors will have to move, but 500 exhibitors have confirmed already. Thank you very much. Sonia, can you tell us something about these 3G events, so-called 3G or 2G events, stating that you have to be vaccinated, recovered or tested? And some governments are also talking about not having 2G or 3G in place at all. What about the regulations for DOMOTEX? Answer, we are planning a so-called 3G event, which means that everybody who comes onto the trade show premises during the trade show, this is important, not while setting up or taking things off the premises, has to be either vaccinated, recovered or tested negative. As Deutsche Messe, we have to do a registration. Ideally, this would be in the run-up. The vaccination proof or proof of recovery or proof of a negative test has to be provided ideally ahead of time. We will have a test center in place for all those who have not yet had a test, although we would recommend for everybody to have their tests done beforehand so that we don't have major queues here on the trade show premises. But we therefore provide a very safe and secure concept. 3G also means that there will be a hygiene concept in place also. And this is not something that we thought up. It is actually a regulation of the Lower Saxon health authorities. We have to comply with this. We have to pass this on to our trade visitors and our exhibitors. But this also ensures that the visit to the trade show, the participation is totally safe. So, of course, the social distancing measures are still in place, and the obligation to wear a face covering whenever you can't keep your distances. As soon as you've sat down somewhere, you can take off the mask. If you're having something to eat or drink and you sit down somewhere, you can take off the face covering. You are probably familiar with this from the restaurant visits. So once again, the plea to the audience, you are very welcome to ask questions. If you ask questions over Slido, I can pass them on to Mrs. Castellano. I will ask a question just now. What can you tell us about the contents and highlights for the individual groups, architects, craftsmen? Can you tell us something about those? Answer, yes. Although we have this very compact edition, as I said, we have all these special formats still in place, the ones that we planned ahead of time, and particular for industry, architects and contracting, the commercial contractors. We want to provide exciting formats. For instance, we have the mood spaces. We'll hear about that from Holly Becker. It will show you interior design trends for the retail area, in the residential area. We also have interior design trends for commercial contractors or architects. A clinic room is also going to be on display because nursing care is a very major topic during the pandemic. Specifically, we will have the interior design trend for a catering setting. We will have a retailer and VIP lounge so that networking can also be done in a comfortable setting for exhibitors and visitors. And we also have the work camp parquet. We'll hear more about this from Michaela in a moment. And we will also have a conference program providing exciting presentations and issues on Cover New Ground. On keynote theme, it'll be about circular economy, healthy living. So all the topics that are interesting for all the different stakeholders, and of course for the craftsmen, exciting issues such as laying vinyl and so on will be offered. Now, when it comes to the conference program, Sonia, what are you planning in terms of digital formats or a supporting program? Well, we're planning DOMOTEX TV. We did this already in 2020 very successfully. All the exhibitors responded to this very positively. DOMOTEX TV will be the conference program on TV, and everybody who joins in person next year at DOMOTEX will automatically and free of charge have the possibility of presenting themselves digitally, either live from your booth, but you can also upload videos on the website. You can also communicate with all the virtually participating participants via the matchmaking functionality so that we really expand our outreach. It's not only the physical visitors on site that are going to be connected. Right, thank you very much, Sonia. Then we are coming to the end of your presentation. Would you like to say something at the end of your part? Yes, thank you. We are in the middle of a restart, journalists and exhibitors, and we are organizing this trade show for the branch of industry. We are now intensively discussing with all exhibitors in order to ensure that the concept that we have fought for to be able to provide this and present this in the next year. In the next 1 or 2 weeks, we will see how well the market accepts this. And I just want to stress, a trade show is something we can only do together. We as organizers can't do this on our own. A trade show is always successful once as many exhibitors as possible join in, and I know that visitors also see it like this. I've just bought a rug, and I actually asked back then in the retail shop, are you coming to DOMOTEX? And I was told by the gentleman, yes, of course I will come to DOMOTEX. I haven't been for 2 years, so I'm really looking forward to coming. Thank you very much, Sonia. With a view to the time, we would proceed with the next guest, and we will answer any further questions you might have later on. Thank you very much for this outlook on DOMOTEX 2021.